The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Chapter 1 Hypothesis. When given a choice between a slightly inconveniencing situation, and B, a colossal shit show with devastating consequences, I will inevitably end up selecting B. 2 years, 11 months later. In Olive's defense, the man didn't seem to mind the kiss too much. It did take time, a moment to adjust, perfectly understandable, given the sudden circumstances. It was an awkward, uncomfortable, somewhat painful minute in which Olive was simultaneously smashing her lips against his and pushing herself as high as her toes would extend to keep her mouth at the same level as his face. Did he have to be so tall? The kiss must have looked like some clumsy headbutt. And she grew anxious that she was not going to be able to pull the whole thing off. Her friend, Anne, whom Olive had spotted coming her way a few seconds ago, was going to take one look at this and know at once that Olive and Kiss Dude couldn't possibly be two people in the middle of a date. Then that agonizingly slow moment went by and the kiss became different. The man inhaled sharply and inclined his head a tiny bit, making Olive feel less like a squirrel monkey climbing a baobab tree, and his hands, which were large and pleasantly warm in the AC of the hallway, closed across her waist. They slid up a few inches, coming to wrap around Olive's ribcage and holding her to himself. Not too close and not too far, just so. It was more of a prolonged pack than anything, but it was quite nice. And for the lifespan of a few seconds, Olive forgot a large number of things, including the fact that she was pressed against a random, unknown dude. That she had barely had the time to whisper, "Can I please kiss you?" before locking lips with him. That what had originally driven her to put on this entire show was the hope of fooling Anne, her best friend in the whole world. But a good kiss will do that, make a girl forget herself for a while. Olive found herself melting into a board, solid chest that showed absolutely no give. Her hands traveled from a defined jaw into surprisingly thick and soft hair, and then she heard herself sigh, as if already out of breath, and that's when it hit her like a brick on the head. The realization that nope, no. She should not be enjoying this random dude and all that. Olive gasped and pushed herself away from him, frantically looking for Anne. In the 11 p.m. bluish glow of the biology lab's hallway, her friend was nowhere to be seen. Weird. Olive was sure she had spotted her a few seconds earlier. Kiss Dude, on the other hand, was standing right in front of her, lips parted, chest rising, and a weird light flickering in his eyes, which was exactly when it dawned on her the enormity of what she had just done, of who she had just. Fuck her life. Fuck her life. Because Dr. Adam Carlson was a known ass. This fact was not remarkable in and of itself, as at academia, every position above the graduate student level, Olivia level, sadly, required some degree of assness in order to be held for any length of time, with tenured faculty at the very peak of the ass pyramid. Dr. Carlson, though he was exceptional, at least if the rumors were anything to go by. He was the reason Olivia's roommate, Malcolm, had to completely scrap two research projects and would likely end up graduating a year later. The one who had made Jeremy threw up from anxiety before his qualifying exam, the sole culprit for half the students in the department being forced to postpone their thesis defenses. Joy, who used to be the Olivia's cohort and would take her to watch out of focus European movies with microscopic subtitles every Thursday night, had been a research assistant in Carlsen's lab, but he had decided to drop out 6 months into it for reasons. It was probably for the best since most of Carlson's remaining graduate assistants had perennially shaky hands and often looked like they hadn't slept in a year. Dr. Carlson might have been a young academia rock star and biology's wunderkind, but he was also mean and hypercritical, and it was obvious in the way he spoke, in the way he carried himself, that he thought himself the only person doing decent science within the Stanford biology department. Within the entire world, probably. He was a notoriously moody, obnoxious, terrifying dick, and Olive had just kissed him. She wasn't sure how long the silence lasted, only that he was the one to break it. He stood in front of Olive, ridiculously intimidating with dark eyes and even darker hair, starting down from who knows how many inches above 6 feet. He must have been over half a foot taller than she was. He scowled, an expression that she recognized from seeing him attend the departmental seminar, a look that usually preceded him raising his hand to point out some perceived fatal flaw in the speaker's work. Adam Carlson, destroyer of research career, Olive had once overheard her advisor say, "It's okay, it's fine, totally fine." She was just going to pretend nothing had happened, nod at him politely, and tiptoe her way out of her. Yes, solid plan. Did you just kiss me? He sounded puzzled and maybe a little out of breath. His lips were full and plump, and God, kissed. There was simply no way Olive could get away with denying what she had just done. Still, it was worth a try. Nope. Surprisingly, it seemed to work. Oh, okay then. Carlson nodded and turned around, looking vaguely disoriented. He looked a couple of steps down the hallway, reached the water fountain, maybe where he had been headed in the first place. Olive was starting to believe that she might actually be off the hook when he halted and turned back with a skeptical expression. Are you sure? Damn it. She buried her face in her hands. It's not the way it looks. Okay. He repeated slowly. His voice was deep and low and sounded a lot like he was on his way to getting mad. Like maybe he was already mad. What's going on here? There was simply no way to explain this. Any normal person would have found Olive's situation odd, but Adam Carlson, who obviously considered empathy a bug and not a feature of humanity, could never understand. She let her hands fall to her sides and took a deep breath. I don't mean to be rude, but this is really none of your business. He stared at her for a moment and then he nodded. Yes, of course. He must be getting back into his usual groove because his tone had lost some of its surprise and was back to normal, dry, laconic. I will just go back to my office and begin to work on my Title IX complaint. Olive exhaled in relief. Yeah, that would be great, since wait, you what? He cocked his head. Title IX is a federal law that protects against sexual misconduct within academic settings. I know what Title IX is. I see. So you willfully chose to disregard it? I what? No, I didn't. He shrugged. I must be mistaken, then someone else must have assaulted me. Assault? I didn't assault you. You did kiss me. But not really, without first securing my consent. I asked if I could kiss you and then did so without waiting for my response. What? You said yes. Excuse me? She frowned. I asked if I could kiss you and you said yes. Incorrect. You asked if you could kiss me and I snorted. I'm pretty sure I heard you said yes. He lifted one eyebrow, and for a minute, Olive let herself daydream of drowning someone. Dr. Carlson herself both sounded like great options. Listen, I am really sorry. It was a weird situation. Can we just forget that this happened? He studied her for a long moment, his angular face serious and something else. Something that she couldn't quite decipher because she was too busy noticing all over again how damn towering and broad he was. Just massive. Olive had always been slight, just this side of two shoulder. But girls who are 5'8" rarely felt diminutive, at least until they found themselves standing next to Adam Carlson. She had known that he was tall, of course, from seeing him around the department or walking across campus, from sharing the elevator with him, but they had never interacted, never been this close. Except for a second ago, Olive, when you almost put your tongue in his. Is there something wrong? He sounded almost concerned. What? No, no, there isn't. Because, he continued calmly, kissing a strange at midnight in a science lab might be a sign that there is. There isn't. Carlson nodded, thoughtfully. Very well, accept mail in the next few days then. He began to walk past her, and she turned to yell after him. You didn't even ask my name. I'm sure anyone could figure it out, since you must have swiped your badge to get in the lab area after hours. Have a good night. Wait! She leaned forward and stopped him with a hand on his wrist. He paused immediately, even though it was obvious that it would take him no effort to free himself, and stared pointedly at the spot where her fingers had wrapped around his skin, right below a wristwatch that probably cost half her yearly graduate salary, or all of it. She let go of her at once and took one step back. Sorry, I didn't mean to. The kiss explained. Olive bit into her lower lip. She had truly screwed herself over. She had to tell him now. Anne fam. She looked around to make sure Anne was really gone. This girl who was passing by, she's graduate student in the biology department. Carlson gave no indication of knowledge who Anne was. Anne has. Olive pushed a strand of brown hair behind her ear. This was where the story became embarrassing, complicated, and a little juvenile sounding. I was seeing this guy in the department, Jeremy Langley. He has red hair and worked with doctor anyway. We went out just a couple of times and then I brought him to Anne's birthday party and then just sort of hit it off and Olive shut her eyes, which was probably a bad idea because now she could see it painted on her lids. How her best friend and her date had bantered in that bowling alley, as if they had known each other their whole lives. The never exhausted topic of conversation, the laughter, and then at the end of the night, Jeremy following Anne's every move with his gaze. It had been painfully clear who he was interested in. Olive waved a hand and tried for a smile. Long short story after Jeremy and I ended things, he asked Anne out. She said no because of girl code and all that. But I can tell that she really likes him. She is afraid to hurt my feelings, and no matter how many times I told her it was fine, she couldn't believe me. Not to mention that the other day I overheard her confess to our friend Malcolm that she thought Jeremy was awesome, but she could never betray me by going out with him, and she sounded so dejected, disappointed, and insecure, not at all like the spunky, larger than life Anne I am used to. So I just lied and told her that I was already dating someone else because she is one of my closest friends and I had never seen her like a guy this much, and I want her to have the good times she deserves, and I'm positive that she would do the same for me. And Olive realized that she was rambling and that Carlson couldn't have cared less. She stopped and swallowed, even though her mouth felt dry. Tonight, I told her I had be on a date tonight. His expression was unreachable. But I'm not. So I decided to come into work or an experiment, but Anne showed up too. She wasn't supposed to be here, but she was coming this way and I panicked. Well, Olive wiped a hand down her face. I didn't really think. Carlson didn't say anything, but it was there in his eyes that he was thinking, obviously. I just needed her to believe that I was on a date. He nodded. So you kissed the first person you saw in the hallway? Perfect logical. Olive winced. When you put it like that, perhaps it wasn't my best moment. Perhaps, but it wasn't my worst either. I'm pretty sure Anne saw us. Now she will think that I was on a date with you, and she will hopefully feel free to go out with Jamie. And she shook her head. Listen, I'm so sorry about the kiss. Are you? Please don't report me. I really thought I heard you say yes. I promise I didn't mean to. Suddenly, the enormity of what she had just done fully dawned on her. She had just kissed a random guy, a guy who happened to be the most notoriously unpleasant faculty member in the biology department. She had misunderstood a snort of consent. She had basically attacked him in the hallway. And now he was staring at her in that odd, pensive way, so large and focused and close to her. And shit. Maybe it was the last night, maybe it was that her last coffee have been 16 hours ago, maybe it was Adam Carlson looking down at her like that. All of a sudden, this entire situation was just too much. Actually, you're absolutely right. And I'm so sorry. If you felt in any way harassed by me, you really should report me because it's only fair. It was a horrible thing to do. Though I really didn't want to, not that my intentions matter. It's more like you perception of crap. I'm going to leave you now, okay? Thank you, and I'm so sorry. Olive spun around on her heels and ran away down the hallway. Olive, she heard him call after her. Olive, wait. She didn't stop. She sprinted down the stairs to the first floor and then out the building and across the pathways of the sparsely lit Stanford's campus, running past a girl walking her dog and a group of students laughing in front of the library. She continued until she was standing in front of her apartment's door, stopping only to unlock it, making a beeline for her room in the hope of avoiding her roommates and whoever he might have brought home tonight. It wasn't until she slumped on her bed, staring at the glow in the dark stars glued to her ceiling, that she realized she has neglected to check on her lab mic. She had also left her laptop on her bench and her sweatshirt somewhere in the lab, and she had completely forgotten to stop at the store and buy the coffee she had promised Malcolm she had get for tomorrow morning. Shit, what a disaster of a day. It never occurred to Olive that Dr. Adam Carlson, known as, had called her by her name.